I'm sitting here, Howie's sitting here, Terry's sitting there, Jimmy's sitting over there. Howie gets up out of his seat, doesn't even look at me, and says, "You're telling me this kid has the video? This kid?" And Howie's an intimidating dude, right? And he's like, "Yes." He goes, "The actual video? Yes. You're telling me?" I'm like, "Oh my God, this is horrible." And Jimmy looks at me and goes, "You really got the video?" I said, "Yeah." And Terry leans over and says, "The actual video?" I said, "Yes, sir." And he goes, "He's okay with me." But oh, thank you, God.
What's the proudest thing you've broke?
Oh, Spygate. Not even close. Changed my life.
Spygate.
Have you heard of that?
No, I was at Kent State.
How did that go down?
Belichick called. He's like, "Hey, man, I got something for you." No, I'm just fucking with you guys.
I was like, whoa, what? My head almost exploded.
I don't know who that is.
Yeah, who?
Beep. That was my second week in Fox. I got hired in 2004, but I wasn't in studio at first. I do my hits, and I was a sideline reporter, so I do my hits from a field. And David Hill's like, "This insider stuff, it's valuable. We're going to bring you in studio." And the week before, I only had one segment was long. So it was like, now I have like three. All the time was condensed in one. And then he said, "I want to spread you out." And all of a sudden, man, you'll appreciate this because I was actually going through a really hard time personally in my life, going through divorce, and no one like the guys at Fox, they didn't want me in there. Like they've been together now. This is my 22nd year. So they've been together for 10 years at that point, right? They didn't want me in there or whatever it was. They didn't want me in there. And all of a sudden I get the Spygate video. I'm trying to think how
How'd you get the
this.
Spygate video?
You're a cute kid. I can't tell you that. But all of a sudden I get this. And I got it though. I think it was either Rosh Hashanah or Yom Kippur. I think it was Rosh Hashanah. It's the only 2 days I turned my phone off. The only 2 days I turned my phone off. And
So you got it on the day you turned your phone off?
yes, but I knew it was there.
How did you
But
know
I
it was
couldn't
there?
see it because the person told me the day.
Practicing Jew. You should not be
No,
thinking
the
about
day
work during Yom
before.
Kippur or Rosh Hashanah.
The person told me the day before, "I'm going to get this to try and get this to." So
So are you
I knew it was
fasting
there.
this
Yeah.
Yom Kippur
So
and you're fucking sitting here thinking about Spygate?
But I'm in temple thinking about Spygate. Like, so if I'm already asking forgiveness, there's more, right? And I'm like, oh my God. So it was like, yeah, it was a really hard, high holiday. And finally, sun goes down, turn on the TV. And at first, when you watch it, it's all tits and ass. Like this little creepers, they're zeroing in on girls in the crowd and tits and ass. And the Jets had like the Jet City Dancers or something, and he's zeroing in on them. I'm like, oh man, I got duped. Fuck. Man, I thought I finally was going to get some love from these guys. And all of a sudden, Tom steps in, and I was like, oh, okay, they're warming up. Brady's throwing, and all of a sudden, boom. Ted Cottrell, who's the defense coordinator of the Jets at the time, I believe, he's out there doing the signs. It's that, and then down in distance, and, oh my God. I'm like, oh my God. So I go to Fox, and I tell them what I have. And Fox immediately says, "Did you steal it?" I said, "Did I steal it?" This guy, Larry Jones, who used to be with Fox, said, "Did I steal it?"
It's an establishment. You got to know.
"Did I steal it?" I said, "I live in Arizona. How am I going to get to New York in a day?" Like, no. But they were like, oh my God. And I said, "Listen, this is what you hired me for. You hired me for Grand Slams." But they were like, oh my gosh, what's this going to do? Mr. Obviously, Kraft is really powerful, and Roger and I said, this is what I do. If you guys don't want it, fine. I'm going to put it somewhere else. But I really hope you will. Well, I don't hear from Fox for the rest of the week. And I show up to our green room, our avocado room, Sunday morning. And Scott Ackerson, who was the producer at the time before Bill Richards, he says, "Guys, listen. Normally, last week Jay had one segment. He normally does.
High tension
Now-
pre-production meeting.
Now we're gonna have 3 for the most part, but instead today Jay's gonna have 4." And they go, "What?" And Howie gets up out of his seat. And again, they do not want me there. And Howie, who's now my fucking brother, they all are obviously, and he's like, and Scott goes, "Before you say anything, he got the Spygate video." And they're like, "What?" He has the video. And I remember the NFL said they destroyed them all. Okay, so all of a sudden, Jules, let's say you're sitting where I am, okay? I'm sitting here, Howie's sitting here, Terry's sitting there, Jimmy's sitting over there. Howie gets up out of his seat, doesn't even look at me, and says, "You're telling me this kid has the video? This kid, and Howie's an intimidating dude, right?" And he's like, "Yes." He goes, "The actual video? Yes. You're telling me?" I'm like, "Oh my God, this is horrible." And Jimmy looks at me and goes, "You really got the video?" I said, "Yeah." And Terry leans over and says, "The actual video?" I said, "Yes, sir." And he goes, "He's okay with me." Like, "Oh, thank you, God."
Now, did you show him the video?
And oh yeah, and then
Now, what are the guys saying when they see the video?
they're like,
is Howie like, "Oh my
yes,
God, how
they're
the
like,
fuck did you get
yes,
this?"
they all are. And then I have to call the commissioner and tell him what I'm going to have. So I call him up and I said, "I'm about to, drop something, but I need to talk to you beforehand." And he hits me up and I said, "Hey, dude, I'm just letting you know, I got the Spygate video." He says, "You can't. We destroyed them all." I said, "That's what you thought." And he said, "You have the actual video?" I said, "I got the video and I'm airing it. And I just want to let you know beforehand." And he said, credit to him, he goes, "Good for you. That's huge. That's going to change your career." Like, wow.
Goodell said that to you?
And he's like, "Fuck, fair." And I said, "Roger, I'm asking you not to conduct an investigation because I'm going to leave so many breadcrumbs to the wrong people to protect who gave this to me." And he said, "Jay, how? Like, I have to." I said, "Right." He said, "Your guy has to know that an investigation was coming." I said, "Who said it was a guy?" And I led so many breadcrumbs, but it was the story then became not Spygate, but how did this young kid get, basically, these are Bruder tapes, the biggest story in the history of pro sports, get his hands on it. And at the time, ready for this? It was so crazy. My sources were then having like wives call me saying, "Do not call such and such on his cell because we think they're getting tapped. Go to this payphone with this number at 3:45. He'll answer the call. Or she'll answer the call, whatever it is. Or go to this hotel. You're going to call this number."
They'll
It was unbelievable.
answer the call.
It was unbelievable. They'll, right? It was unbelievable. And then,
This guy's fucking
then
Sopranos.
Congress calls.
casino over here.
Good Congress call?
Ace
Arlen
Roth.
Specter.
So Senator Arlen Specter, who did the
Pennsylvania?
Kennedy assassination.
The who?
Senator Arlen, no, Congress. Senator Arlen Specter who did the Kennedy assassination. He calls and he wants my copy of Spygate. And I'm on a beach in Kiowa Island, South Carolina.
We got a
and
war
my
going
dad's
on or
over here.
something. We're over
Right?
here
Yeah.
talking about
Hey, dude,
tiddlywinks.
exactly.
Shout
Right?
out to Kiowa, baby.
So this dude
We're
calls.
over here we got like homeless people. We got people that are
Thank you.
starving. We got fucking markets crashing. I believe at that time we were at a war,
Thank you.
and we want to go talk about
Insane.
sport.
Jules, that's where you and I say the same.
Insane.
So he calls me up and he says, somebody say, "Oh, please hold for Senator Arlen
This
Specter."
sounds
I'm
like what do they call it? Oh, not a witch trial.
Witch hunt?
Witch hunt.
Witch hunt. This is
Waste
a
of
witch
time.
hunt.
He said, "Jay, if you give me your copy of Spygate, I'll give you the biggest scoop you ever had." And I said, "Senator Specter, respectfully, first of all," and I said, "I don't think our tax dollars should go to this. We're just sports. We're escapism. That is it. Right? I don't think this is," and my dad's like, "Shut the fuck up." He's talking to Arlen Specter. I'm like,
He knows
so,
who killed JFK.
Have you seen Enemy of the State? You're like
Yeah,
Will
yeah,
Smith,
exactly,
dog.
right? Yeah.
You're about to be Will Smith.
So he says,
They're gonna come
and I
get you.
said, he goes, "Jay, I have something much bigger." I said, "Senator Specter, respectfully, I just hit a home run in the bottom of the ninth against the Yankees to win the World Series. There's nothing you could possibly give me that's bigger." He said, "Okay, Jay, if you're telling me you're not going to give this, and I don't want to have to go this right, I may have to threaten you with charges and jail time for obstruction of justice." And I said, "Sorry, what do I care? All I do is fight and lift anyway." My dad is like, "Shut the fuck up." And somehow it got out
Who would
to
you
USA
lock up
Today.
with in prison with?
No.
Is there like some Israeli mob dudes
Yeah,
up in
I
there?
would hope so. Well, this is white collar, so all right. And it was somewhere I remember it was in USA Today. It was a quote of me saying it. And David Hill and a guy named George Greenberg back then came to me like, "Okay, we're now telling you to shut the fuck up." Dude, I said, "No, I'm trying to show Congress that I'm off." They're like, "You're trying to show Congress that you're off." I said, "Yeah." They're like, "Think of what you're saying." I said, "Look, it's working for you right now." But that was literally my,
What does off mean?
like, I'm fucking crazy.
Oh, you're
They're like,
crazy.
Yeah,
Okay,
it's like,
gotcha.
don't even deal with this guy. It's literally what I was trying to do. But man, it was, and then I got a bunch of awards for it and all that, but that really changed my life. And after that, Me and the guys from Fox are like, okay.
You weren't in on
guys?
Deflategate too, were you?
Yeah, I had
You had the fucking ball, huh?
balls.
The Colts ones.
I had the
Colts ones
report.
too? Did you have the Colts
When,
ones as well? Did we forget that one?
What I have?
You were at the 8.
No, you guys were flying in from the Super Bowl, and I reported that the NFL has video of the 2 locker room attendants of taking 30 balls, whatever it was, into a bathroom for it. So I reported that as you guys were flying in, and guys were all pissed off at me, thinking I timed it on purpose for when you were flying in. But
Yeah.
yeah, but
just
that's the stupidest shit ever.
another
'cause you're
mountain
not
we had
waiting.
to overcome.
You're not waiting
Just another mountain for us
for
to
that.
overcome.
Yeah. But
Try
you
to
guys
get the
landed,
media involved,
and
all
everybody
the
was killing
league.
me. And I had all these fans
Distractions.
grab me down at the Super Bowl thinking I did that on
Can't
purpose.
fucking distract dogs.
You also can't touch me.
Wait, what do you mean?
Fucking fans were like, grab me, they were pissed off.
gosh.
And they were like, hey, and I just, yeah, you can't do that. And they're like, you fucking did this on purpose. You did. And it actually couldn't have come at a worse time of when I broke that story. Because I was actually with a girl. And this came in. It was the first time being with her. I was like, oh, I got to go. You know about the whole Deflategate? She's like, no, but I know about deflating.
Hey now.
Could have been worse. So I remember I was getting killed on one of your stations up there in Boston.
Sports Hub, baby,
And I said, hey, I want to
98.5.
stop off and do this show. I said, guys, let me show you what I was about to do when I got that 3rd confirmation. And I showed these guys a picture of a young lady, and they said, I said, you think I want to step away from this and go fucking break a story? They're like, no, you think I waited on purpose then to break it then? They're like, oh, absolutely not. I said, right, please tell everybody what you saw. They're like, well, we can't, but we believe you. I said, I'm not waiting. I don't do shit like that.
Man, so thanks,
I've
Jay.
had a lot of big ones. Hey, I had Barrett Robbins. Remember he left the Raiders when AWOL down to Tijuana?
The Raiders.
Yep.
That was
I remember
I broke
that.
that one.
The Super Bowl, he
Yep.
left.
I broke all the Balco stuff. I broke the end of the lockout. I broke every Favre thing. I broke the story about Moss getting traded. Right, so remember he didn't play, I think it was against Dolphins, really, because the trade was done before the game.
Yeah.
But I was told you got to wait so we could tell him. So that was a painful day. And then they couldn't find Randy to tell him. So I had to wait and wait and wait. I think I knew for 24 hours before I broke it, and finally did. And it just, all hell broke loose.
Are you just like constantly scrolling and making sure no one breaks it before you
Yeah.
when that happens? Just
Yeah, it's
anxiety
horrible.
all day.
You got a team? You got it's just you.
No way, just me.
It's a one-man shop.
Yeah, yeah.
One-stop shop over here. Jay Glazer, baby.
Yeah, absolutely.
He'll
Lone
work
wolf.
you out. He'll work
Yeah.
on your jiu-jitsu. He'll break you a story.
Then
and I'll give you a
I'll build
friendship
you up from the
bracelet.
inside out. We'll help you with mental health after. Yeah,
Where's the tape now, Jay?
I
Where's
got
the
it.
tape now?
I got it. I actually
Still
told
got
him,
that
I told,
footage?
Oh, yeah. I told him. I used to play
Here,
at
let me
parties.
see it real quick. Let
I
me
used
see
to,
it.
I used
Let me
to
see
play
your
at
phone.
parties all the time. I like
Here.
it continuously.
Really?
Yeah, I have my house in Arizona at parties all the time.
You have
I used to show it all the
Spygate
time.
parties.
No, just parties, but I would have it.
Spygate themed
Yeah, yeah,
parties.
Show up dressed as Eric Mangini.
Not theme. It was just, yeah.
So Spygate was already like there was issues with the NFL with the Patriots for Spygate. So that was already story was already happening, and you had the tape.
It was broken that
It was already,
this
like-
was an investigation.
and then you got the tape.
But the NFL said,
Got you.
we destroyed all the tapes. We wanted to stop here. And
Now, where did they
didn't.
destroy
That was
the
always
tapes?
weird. They said at the facility, right? At Foxborough? Yeah.
I think
Now,
so.
what do they break them and then burn them?
In that Apple thing, I think they showed it, right? The thing on Apple
I didn't
Dynasty,
watch
they
that.
showed it.
We didn't
watch
watch
it.
that.
I
We lived that. We didn't watch
Yeah.
it.